Welcome back to the Cine-OPs Podcast. And we do movies here. Every episode, narrate and talk about a different movie. Maybe we bond a little, joke a little, cry. Sorry if I've been away for a while. I've been super busy. But I wanted to be here with you guys. You know me. For today's episode, the last episode we did was Jaws. It was the 75th. It was the 75th anniversary of Jaws, and it looked like, I don't know. I don't think anybody liked it. It's all right. For this one, kind of the same thing. It's the 50th anniversary of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I hope everybody's doing all right. I hope everybody's all right. Yeah, let's just get into the movie. That's all I could think about. That's all I could think about. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Is that? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This movie is one of those movies that they make you watch in like nursing school. I think a long time my wife was in nursing school, and she said she watched it for that. My wife was a CNA, and then she got put on a waiting list to be a registered nurse in Chapel Hill. You know what I mean? It's funny the way we think, right? The plans we're gonna have, and then they just go completely different direction, right? My wife was in the nursing program, so she was a CNA while she got put on a waiting list at Chapel Hill, and then she was like, I'll just do something else. It's kind of whack. And then she ended up becoming an architect. That's pretty cool. So my wife has an architect degree, and she worked for a telecommunications company that put up 5G cell phone towers around different cities. So it was cool because I could see. She worked from home sometimes, so I would see her computer. She had like blueprints of the city, and then she would review other people's work and make sure that this can't go here, this could go here. So that was pretty cool seeing my wife do that. And I think she liked that more than being a nurse. And so I guess life is funny that way. Let me think. Yeah, it's been funny for me too. But anyway, the reason I say that is because when my wife was in nursing school, one of her classes, they watched this movie, right? And in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, it takes place in a psychiatric ward, a mental institution. It's kind of like a really chill jail. You know what I mean? Like they're not allowed to yell at you, because you're not right. Can't get right. You're not right in the head. But so this movie takes place in a mental institution, and it's probably like let's say, okay, so it's the 50th anniversary, so it takes place in 1975. Right? Yeah. Let me see. I got some info here. It's probably not enough, but yeah. So let's say this movie took place in the 75, right? 1975, in a small town, and right, we start off. It's the psychiatric ward, and we have all these different kind of people. I don't want to say they're crazies, but they're a little off, And you have, I think Christopher Lloyd is in this movie. He's Doc from Back to the Future. There's a young Danny DeVito, and this was actually Danny DeVito's first movie. His first appearance in a movie. So that's pretty cool seeing a young Danny DeVito. You know what I mean? And then our main character is Jack Nicholson. He's a young Jack Nicholson. And then now, he's an old guy. I think he's still around. But he's gone to make so many great things. I think that's a cool thing about movies is that you can look back and you're like, oh, look at Danny DeVito. He's so cute. He's adorable. You see young Danny DeVito, and then, the way everyone talked and dressed back then, I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a cool little time machine, time capsule and stuff like that. I'm sorry, man. I know my heart's not in it, man. I'll cut that out, but let me try to get my mind right. So we start off, we're in the mental institution, right? And we see the way everything works. It's a very structural place. Time and everything that has to go according to schedule, because the routine kind of gives these people a little bit of a relief. They find comfort in simple routines, so everybody knows that at this time we gotta hang out in the rec room. At this time we could watch the TV. This time maybe go outside. And it's time for dinner. Have a nice dinner. Take a nice bath or whatever it is, and then get strapped down to bed because you're still crazy, right? They can't let anybody run around. At least the more serious people that are in there, they get strapped to the bed. So we kind of see all this. We see the main nurse. Her name is Nurse Ratched. And she's kind of no nonsense, you know what I mean? She's kind of by the book, very monotone, and she's kind of in charge of everybody. She's the one that, I guess she's kind of doing kind of therapy a little bit to everybody. Like, they sit in the circles, they talk about stuff, their problems, the way they thought about something, the way they reacted, what could have helped them react differently. This is Miss Ratched. So then we get introduced to, what's this guy's name? Matt Murdock? All right, so we meet Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is, his character is Randall McMurphy. And he comes in, it's a young Jack Nicholson, and he's kind of wild, right? Full of life. And you could see that he's not taking this place seriously. He's brought in handcuffs because apparently he was at a jail or at a different system, and he was kind of too wild, or something was going on with him, that they're like, oh, we got to take him to the mental institution because he's fighting so much. You know what I mean? So like back then that must have been crazy to everybody. Like, oh man, he won't stop fighting and having a good time. Send him out of here. They would have buried me under the mental institution, but what was I doing, bro? I was just cracking jokes and not listening, bro. I feel like that would have been enough. That would have been enough to throw me in one of these. But this guy, right? He was like, like a funny wildcat. He's there. And he's obviously not as loony. I'll say loony, but I don't mean it in a bad way, right? He's not as loony as the rest of the clientele in the institute, right? In the clinic. All right, so they bring him in, and he meets with the warden, right? And they're like, Mr. McMurphy, do you know why you're here? And he's like, I don't know. I was out here trying to talk to this girl and this and that. And then apparently he was trying to talk to an underage girl out in town, and then he got in a fight with the police or a fight with somebody. And he was just like this wild guy. You know what I mean? This reckless guy, doesn't care, drinks, fights. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of regular people nowadays. But so he's in here for that. And they're like, yeah, well, it seems like, you weren't doing well at this other jail. And then, they sent you over here, right? So they're kind of insinuating that, like, oh, you're kind of insinuating like, oh, are you pretending so you can have a lighter sentence? You know what I mean? Because he was almost done with his time over here, right? He had like 70 days of jail over here. But then I guess somebody told him, or I don't know where he heard, he's like, oh, if I go to the loony bin, I just have to convince him that I'm okay, or that I have to do less time there and it's going to be chill, and then I get out. Right? So that's his plan, right? He's now at the loony bin. And does he have a plan? We don't know, right? They don't really explain that to us, right? But we could kind of assume only. So now McMurphy, right? Jack Nicholson, he's here. And they're like, all right, this is going to be where you live from now on, right? He's at the clinic. And I might just rock black shirts from now on, man. Easier. It's easier this way. This was a birthday gift, actually, but yeah, it's a nice shirt. I might just rock black shirts. Makes it easier to think about, you know what I mean? Unless I start doing like, oh, I dress like whatever I'm talking about, right? So since he's in the mental thing, right, I should wear like a robe and, you know what I mean? Maybe I should start dressing like whatever the movie's about. That'd be pretty cool, but I'm already barely making it, you know what I mean? So McMurphy, he's hanging out with the guys now, right? And he's getting to know everybody, and he sees that they're playing some poker, and he's like, okay, this is gonna work. He plays poker, and he has like a deck of playing cards with him, and it's the one that has like nude girls on it, right? So he's showing the guys, he's like, yeah, what do you think of that, huh? Check this out. And then they all started playing poker, right? And he's like, oh, well, why don't we start wagering some cigarettes, right? They start wagering the things they have, right? Whatever little money they have, whatever cigarettes they have, they start betting that on the table. And of course, he's taking advantage of him a little bit because he's fully well, it seems, and everybody else is kind of like, bobbleheading around. They're kind of like, stuttering or what. So he meets everybody. They're playing poker. He's meeting everybody. It's a young Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, this young boy that stutters. I don't remember his name. Let me see if it's here. And he meets the young kid named Billy. He has a bad stutter. That's not even enough to keep you in the crazy bin, right? But he has a stutter. And then, he kind of meets the crew. This is going to be like the crew of guys that he hangs out with, because everybody else in there is like really bad, to where they're in a wheelchair. They're looking out the window the whole time. They don't even talk. So these guys, they're well enough to play poker, go outside, hang out with him. So this is going to be the crew. So he meets everybody, and the first half of the movie is him, getting to know everybody, and then it kind of shows him kind of trying to blow some life into the place, right? Everybody have a little fun, because he's like a funny guy, right? He's trying to make everybody laugh, and everybody is right. They like it, right? The people, the guys, they like it. Miss Ratchet hates it. She doesn't like this. She wants everything to be her way, right? She likes everything to be calm. I want to know what's going to happen. But now, McMurphy, he's kind of blowing a little bit of spirit into these guys, right? And they like to play poker. They like to play poker. They like to smoke cigarettes. And he's getting to know everybody, right? And then he sees one guy, right? One guy that kind of never talks. And he's like this big Native American guy. They call him Chief, right? And he's like, hey, Chief, why don't you come play with us, this and that? And everybody's like, oh, don't even bother talking to him. He's deaf. He's deaf and dumb, right? So dumb, it means you can't talk. So like a mute, right? They're like, oh, he's deaf and dumb. He can't talk. He don't know nothing. He's just a native, right? So he's like, come on. I'm sure he knows how to talk, right? Because he's just the native chief, right? He just pushes a broom around. He doesn't do much. He kind of just looks around, pushes the broom. I don't know why. That's his thing. He's not the janitor, but that's his thing. So he pushes the broom around. McMurphy's like, come on, Chief, come and play with us, this and that. And he's kind of becoming, he's being nice to everybody, even though he's a wild guy and, against the system, right? He does do crime sometimes, but he's funny. He's friendly to everybody. He's trying to, he's kind of an asshole, but he's kind of friendly, you know what I mean? So he's trying to be friends with Chief. He's like, come on, Chief. He tries to include him. He includes them in all the things they do. And, they're in the yard, right? They're in the yard. And he's like, come on, guys, let's play basketball. This is how you do it. And then you do this with the basketball. And then, Chief, come on, you're tall. Run it over there and throw it into the basket. And then Chief, he's kind of like, he understands, right? So he's like, okay, right? He's learning how to play basketball. They're doing it together. And Chief dunks it, right? He throws it up there. And they're like, yeah, Chief, you did it. And so McMurphy's like cheering on Chief. And Chief, he's a human, bro. He's like, oh, this is nice, bro. This dude, this is what I think he thinks. I don't know. He's like, oh, this guy's nice. He didn't just think of me as a dumb native, a deaf, dumb native. He's nice to me, right? That's what I think. Oh, he included me. We're all having a good time. This is probably the most fun I've ever had in a long time. And that's what happens. This the first half of the movie. This is what's going on. Like Jack Nicholson, like he's kind of being a dick to the nurses. He's having fun with the boys. He's becoming friends with Chief. And everybody likes it, right? It's riling everybody up. It's camaraderie. Camaraderie and morale of the troops. That's funny. Yeah, so he's showing everybody a good time, you know what I mean? And really, we think he's there just to kill some time off his sentence, not being in the regular prison. After Jack Nicholson has been there, McMurphy, he's been there for a while. He's like, man, we gotta do something, right? What's the next thing we can do? And then he'll get yelled at by the nurses, by Nurse Ratchet every once in a while, and he kind of just like shrugs it off. For example, at one point, they always watch the same show at the same time, and McMurphy, he's like, Nurse Ratchet, why don't we, it's the World Series is going on. Instead of doing this, why don't we just change it to the channel? And we can watch baseball. The guys want to watch some baseball. And she's like, well, if that's all right, we can vote for it. But she knows all these guys, they're always pilled up, right? They give them medicine at a certain time of day, and they're always kind of droopy. They're loony and droopy. And she's like, well, all right, if you want to have a vote, we'll vote. Right? So McMurphy's like, all right, guys, hey, who wants to watch a baseball game? Raise your hand. And maybe like he's the only one raising his hand. And he's like, come on, guys. Come on. Hey, who wants to, come on, somebody. And everybody, they're loony. They're loony and droopy. They don't know what's going on. They're drugged up, pilled up, and nobody votes. And she's like, well, it looks like we have our votes. Sorry. All right. And Jack McMurphy, he's like, oh, all right. He kind of lets it go. And then the next day, one of his buddies, right, one of the older guys in his group, and he's like, Nurse Ratched, right? So, Nurse Ratched, we see her doing the therapy session, right, when they're having the group. And then the kid Billy, right? Billy's he's like a young little twink, right? Little blonde twink. So Billy, he's like the young kid with the stutter. And then she's like, she's talking to him, like, oh, and how did that make you feel? And he's like, whatever. I don't remember. She's like, oh, how did that make you feel? And he's like, this and that. And she's like, oh, yeah. And that was the first time you tried to kill yourself, wasn't it? And he's kind of like, he's kind of like embarrassed, kind of like he can't process it well. And he kind of starts freaking out a little bit, this and that. And I think one of the guards, not guards, but like the medicine men in uniform right there that kind of muscle everybody around, they take him away, right? So he could go calm down in his room. And then one of the older guys, right? He's like, why do you, he's like, I know that we're in a group. Why do you pick on him? Why do you ask him things that are going to make him upset? Right? Because the nurse, she's saying that, oh, this is therapy. We're working through our stuff. But at the same time, it's a little mean, right? For this kid, he's like, oh, he kind of like, I don't know if he's like sensitive or reactive towards that, but he's already a little broken, a little suicidal. And for her, she's kind of being a bitch. You know what I mean? Fuck that bitch. Sorry, I'm cussing, all right? I guess I'm not in a great mood, but she's being a bitch, right? Nurse Ratched. So she's like, well, this and that, this is just therapy. This is how we work through our things. And he's like, okay. And then, you can see he's struggling to think of the next thing, right? And he's like, okay. He's like rubbing his head. And he's like, there's another thing. I want to watch baseball, right? So he remembers from the day before they voted for the baseball. And he's like, I want to watch baseball. And then she's like, oh. And then McMurphy, he's over here. He's like, okay, yeah. And so she's like, okay, well, do you guys want to vote again? And he's like, yeah, we do. He's like, okay, well, all in favor of baseball, raise your hand, right? And so it's McMurphy and a couple of guys, right? It's like 8 guys, right? Out of a few of them, there's a few of them already. The group is like 8 people. They all raised their hands. And Nurse Ratched's like, McMurphy's like, look, that's enough. All of us raise our hands. That's enough to change the channel. And Nurse Ratched's like, no. Last time I checked, there's 18 patients on the ward, right? In the entire clinic. He's like, and it has to be ruled by, majority rule. So out of 18, you got to have, 10? Yeah, 10. I guess it's 10, but I don't even know. So she's like, out of the 18, you need 10. So they have 9 votes. And they're like, oh, we need one more. So McMurphy, he's looking around, and it's Chief, right? And Chief's like, hey, Chief, you want to watch some baseball? Come on, raise your hand. Vote for it. And then Chief's kind of just like standing there. He doesn't really know what to do. And McMurphy leaves. And then one of the other guys like, hey, look, McMurphy, look. And Chief raised his hand. He raised his hand. So Chief is raising his hand. Now they have 10 votes. They did it. They're going to be able to watch baseball. But Nurse Ratched's like, no. At the end of the meeting, you only had 9 votes. This is too late. He voted too late. Decision is over. You're not getting baseball today. He's like, what? That's unfair, right? So then we see McMurphy, right? We see he has a unstable temper, right? And he's like, what? No. To the point to where he's reacting, and it's almost like the guards have to calm him down. And he's like, that's unfair, this and that. And we see the anger, right? We see the anger that is the problem that he has, right? So whenever he's angry, he has a short temper, he gets angry, he fights people or whatever like that. And that's the problem that he has. That's why he's here in the first place. So he calms down and he starts thinking about what he's going to do. And he sees the TV. He's blank, right? And he starts narrating a baseball game. He's, oh, he's taking first. He's going to third. Oh, he's going to outfield. Oh, he hits whatever it is, right? So he's like hyping up this baseball game that isn't there. And all the other buddies, right, all his loony buddies, they're like, what's going on? What's he looking at? So they're like watching the TV with him. And they're like, oh, yeah, baseball, right? So this is kind of his plan. So tomorrow, everybody's going to have baseball. Everybody's going to be excited about baseball. They're going to vote again. That's his plan. So we see how kind of Ms. Ratchet's operating. And Jack McMurphy, he goes on about his business. And he's doing his regular stuff at the thing. And then one day he's outside on the yard and he sees that the bus driver, He parked the bus in the front. He goes inside to have a coffee or whatever it is, and then he has an idea. He's like, hey guys, everybody come over here. So he grabs his crew, right? There's like 6 of them, the guys. He grabs everybody. Chief, I don't think Chief comes. Maybe, I don't remember. So they sneak everybody out, right, around the fence, because this is minimal security. It's literally just like a fence, maybe a little bit of a, there's like a, you know what I mean? It's not much. There's no guards. I think there's wire on the fence, but it's not, right, not maximum security, right, minimal security. So they go around the fence, get into the bus, and he takes off, right? He hijacks the bus, and he takes off, and he's driving through the town, right? Because I guess this is the town he lives in. And he's like, come on, boys, we're going to go have some fun. And he goes, and he picks up, like, this prostitute or a stripper that he knows. He picks her up. She's on the bus. She doesn't do anything crazy, right? She's just on there, right? They just want to have a girl around, I guess. And I understand that. And they keep on driving. He goes down to the docks, right? He goes to the dock, and he's like, let's get on this boat right here, right? So he starts taking off all the rigs and ropes. He starts taking it off, and one of the harbor master, he's like, hey, who are you guys? What are y'all doing? And he's like, oh, we chartered this boat. We're gonna go do marine biology. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I'm Doctor This. This is Doctor This person. This doctor, the doctor, this, and this is where. Yeah, we're gonna go do research. Yeah, just go check with he makes up a name because he's a liar. He's a thief. He's a criminal. He's like, yeah, just go check with whatever. I chartered it. I chartered the boat. And the dude's like, what? And he goes because he's gonna go ask somebody, and they take off, right? They take off on the boat, and he's sailing or cruising or whatever it is. They're on the water, and he's showing these guys how to fish. And he's like, oh yeah, you do it like this, guys. And it's kind of a nice day, right? They had a nice day out. No medicine, no doctor, no whatever it is, right? He gave these guys, right? It was a little treat, right? A little treat, like, oh, we all need to get away, whatever. Even if I get in trouble. Let's just go out here and send it. And he did, right? He's having a good time. And then he wants to go down with the girl, right? He's like, oh, I'm gonna go down here with the girl. You watch the boat, drive the boat straight. I'll be back, right? And of course that doesn't work out. So he comes back out. He's like, oh, what's going on? And they almost crashed the boat. Whatever, right? So they finally get off the boat. They go back, and he's in trouble, right? He's in trouble because, like, out of everybody there, he's the one who's most well into cabeza, bro. He's well into cabeza. He's well in his head. So he's responsible for him, right? So he's the one that gets in trouble. So he's in trouble. And they're in a circle again, right, with Miss Ratchet. And she's asking everybody this and that. What's going on? What happened? She's trying to just talk to him, right? And she's talking to him. Yeah, she's kind of annoying and kind of following the rules. But at the same time, she's just like, I guess she wants to make sure everybody's safe and everything's okay. And she's talking to everybody. And one of the guys, he starts freaking out a little bit, right? He starts freaking out, and he's like, Nurse Ratchet, why do you always keep my cigarettes? Why can't I have my cigarettes? And he starts, having an episode, or he's having a meltdown or something like that. And he's like freaking out, and he's asking, why can't we have our own cigarettes? And everybody else is like, yeah, why can't we have our cigarettes? And she's like, all right, I'll tell you. Ever since you started playing poker with McMurphy, you've been losing your cigarettes. You run out of cigarettes, so I've been keeping them for you at the office. This and that. So, I'll give them to you whenever you need one, whatever. And the dude's like, no, I want our own cigarettes. Where are our cigarettes? And, when Murphy's like, just give him his cigarettes, damn. And he breaks the window. He breaks the window to the Miss Ratchet's office, grabs the cigarettes, and he gives it to him, right? And then the muscle guys, the guards, are like, hey, McMurphy, what are you doing? Right? So they're grabbing him. They grab him, and McMurphy's trying to fight him, right? Because, like, McMurphy's trying to fight him at this point because they're like manhandling him, and he's like punching him. He's trying to beat up the guards, and he's beating him up a little bit, but he does an armbar on him, right? So now he has like wrist control of him. McMurphy's on the ground, and across the room, Chief sees it, right? He sees that McMurphy's getting beat up, and he drops his mop. And Chief is like 8 feet tall. I don't know if I mentioned this. Chief is like 7.5 feet tall, big as an oak tree, and he comes over, boom, boom, and he grabs the guard, knocks him off. Right? So McMurphy gets up, and he's still trying to fight the other guy, this and that. But eventually some other guards come in, and they pull everybody apart. So now they're in trouble, right? So now, one by one, the first guy that was asking for cigarettes, he goes into this room, and he comes out, and he's like all quiet, all calm, and he goes away. All right? So now it's Chief and McMurphy. They're sitting there, and they're just waiting their turn, right? They're like, it's almost like at the principal's office. They're waiting their turn at the principal's office. And McMurphy's like, had a breath. He's like, here. They're handcuffs. He's like, here. You want some gum? And Chief's like, thank you. And McMurphy's like, right, he's never heard him talk before. He's like, he hands him another piece of gum. And Chief's like, I'm trying to do a Native American impression. Juicy fruit, juicy fruit, juicy fruit. And he's like, Chief, oh, Chief, you sly son of a bitch. Here, this whole time, nobody knew you can talk. And look at you, you were fooling them. You were fooling them, Chief. You can't talk. Everybody thought you were dumb, and you fooled them, right? So he's happy for Chief. He's like, Chief, we're buds. You know what I mean? You just showed me that you can talk. We're buds. And he's like, oh man, don't worry, Chief. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna find a way out. You and me, we're gonna run away from this place. And he's like, Canada. He's like, yeah, we'll go to Canada. Nobody will find us there in Canada. This and that. Right? So then they call McMurphy, right? It's McMurphy's time to go up next. And they take him in there, right? And it's the guys, they're strapping him down. And they're like, all right, hold him. And you're like, what the hell are they doing? And they take these rubber things. They hook up, it's like hooked up to the battery, and they start touching it to his head, right? And they're doing electrotherapy to his ass, which I don't know what the purpose of it was. Should I look it up? It was developed to severe mental health conditions, particularly depression. It includes a brief seizure under anesthesia. The primary goal was to alleviate symptoms and improve the patient's overall mental state when other treatments, like medication, were not effective. So I guess that's what they were doing. They're trying to straighten him up. They're trying to shock him back. They're trying to shock him back to normal, right? So that's the plan. So now they're electrocuting Jack Nicholson, right? And he's like, for the first time, he's like, it hurts him, right? So, for the most part, he's funny, he's laughing, joking around, but now he's hurt, right? They're electrocuting him. It hurts. And then we're back at the ward, right? We see the ward. Chief is like waiting for his buddy to come back. And they see him walk in, right? And he walks in and he's like all loopy, right? He looks like one of the other guys. He's like loopy. And he's like, what's going on, bitches? Right? He's like, I'm just kidding, bro. Like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm back. And everybody's like, yeah, McMurphy's back. Yeah, that's awesome. So McMurphy comes back. Chief is glad. He's glad to see his buddy back. So that night, McMurphy, he calls his people on the outside, those two prostitutes, and he's like, yo, bring a car, bring some cash, bring some booze. I'm gonna get out of here. Me and my buddy, come pick us up. We're leaving. We're gonna run away. And they're like, all right, McMurphy, whatever. So that night he goes to Chief's rack, right? He's racked up. And he's like, Chief, I can't take it no more. I gotta get out of here. And Chief's like, I can't. I just can't. Right? And he's talking to him. It's a serious talk. And he's like, Chief, it's easier. It's easier than you think. We could just go. And Chief says, for you, maybe. You're a lot bigger than me. Right? And he says that, and it doesn't. Right? Jack Nicholson's like, Chief, you're as big as a tree trunk. But he doesn't mean you're physically bigger than me. He said, your spirit, right? Your adventure, your sense of danger and that. And everything, something that you could just do without thinking of the consequences. That way, you're bigger than me. You could just do it. I can't. And then he goes, and then Chief shares a story. He says that my dad, he used to be a real bad drinker. And then whenever he would start drinking, you couldn't recognize him, right? You didn't know who he was. And then they would work on him. They would work on him the same way they work on you. And then eventually he was gone. And he's like, they killed him, Chief? He's like, no, I'm not saying they killed him. But they worked on him the same way they did on you. So you're like, damn, Chief, it's kind of sad. Right when they were talking, you hear a honk. Right, honk on the outside, and McMurphy's like, "That's them. They're here." So the girls come in, right? He pays off the one guard that's there at night, right? He's like, "Oh, we got some girls. We got some girls coming in, and they'll look after you if you turn the other way, this and that." And the guard is like, "Okay, all right." He's like, all right. He falls for it, right? He falls for the temptation. And then the girls come in and they got booze and this and that. And McMurphy, he's all dressed up because he's wearing his civilian clothes because he's going to get out of there. And he's like, hey, boys, come on. I want you to meet this girl, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So then the girls are there and the lights are on and the boys, right? McMurphy and his crew, they're all having a drink. They're all having fun together and they're pushing each other in wheelchairs, and the girls are, there's two girls, right? They're like the prostitutes or strippers or whatever. And they're all having a good time. Everybody's drinking because they snuck in some booze, and they're already a little crazy. So it seems like a good time. They got the records playing, and it's a party. They're having like a farewell party ultimately. And everybody's having a good time. The guard is over there. Oh, and then at one point, a nurse comes on board, and she's like, she thought she heard something, but everybody turned everything off, turned off the lights. And she's like, what's going on? And she starts calling for the guard's name. She's like, oh, where are you, Mr. Whatever? And she's like, so they're like, so McMurphy and everybody, they're like, where's the guard, bro? Why isn't he answering? He's like, I'm not answering. And he's in there. He's hiding in the closet with them. He's like, I'm not going out there. He's like, you got to go out there. You're supposed to be here. So he goes out there and he's like, oh, Miss, the nurse, right? It wasn't Miss Ratchet. It was a different nurse. He's like, oh, yeah, everything's fine, this and that. And then one of the strippers comes out and she's like, get that girl out of here right now. And then she leaves, right? Because, whatever. She leaves, right? So then, the guys keep partying and it's the end of the party. And it's the end of the party and Billy, right? The kid with the stutter, the little twink with the stutter. And he's like, hey, Jack, where are you going? He has a stutter. He's like, where do you think you're going? And it's that girl, that girl's pretty fine. Pretty much he's like, oh, that girl's pretty hot. I would like to date her later or something like that. And he's like, yeah, you could date her later. You could date her later. You could date her right now. And he's like, what? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, come on. I'll go introduce you, right? Because, she's a stripper. So, and everybody else is like, yeah, go meet her, Billy, go meet her. So he's scared. He's trying to run away. And they all put him on a wheelchair. And they're like, they push him over there. And, it's a funny thing. And he's like a little scared. But the stripper's like, oh, what's going on? And then Jack's like, oh, hey, this is my buddy Billy. I just want you to talk to him for a little bit. And they kind of go into one of the rooms, right? They go into one of the rooms. And then, you know what happens there. So while they're in there, McMurphy, he's over here chilling with Chief. They're talking about, hell yeah, we're getting ready to go. We got a plan. Everything's all right. And then they wake up and it's morning. They didn't leave. They drank too much. And they pass out on the floor, and everything is torn up because everybody was having a party, everything crazy. And the guards walk in, right? They walk in, and they're like, they say an old-fashioned phrase, right? They're like, oh, this and that, like, wow. Well, I'll be. Well, anyway, so Miss Ratchet comes in. And Miss Ratchet comes in, and she's like, what's the meaning of this? What's going on? This and that. And she just sees the mess, and she knows who's responsible, who snuck in strippers and booze. Who unlocked the window about to run away? It was McMurphy. And then she's like, where's the guard? Where's the guard? And the guard is passed out in this other room. And she's like, oh, everybody's here except for Billy. So they're like, oh, we got to find Billy. All right, and then they open up all the cells or the rooms. And Billy's in there laid up with the stripper. Right, so he comes out. He's booty butt naked. And Miss Ratchet's like, Billy, what's the meaning of this? And he's like, oh, nothing. He's like, oh, really? So, did that girl force you in there? What happened? He's like, no, she didn't. This and that. He's like, she's like, she said something like, tell me what happened. And he's like, oh, do you want me to tell you everything? And the whole crew, they're like, yeah, they're laughing because they're like, oh yeah, you fucked that stripper. And we noticed that Billy isn't stuttering, right? After all this whole time he's been talking to the Nurse Ratchet, he isn't stuttering, right? He's all better. And he's like, oh, no, it's okay, Miss Ratchet, this and that, everything's all right. And Miss Ratchet's like, oh, I'm disappointed in you. I'd hate to think what your mother's going to think about this. And then you see it in Billy. He's like, what? And he starts stuttering again, right? There's like a panic. He's like, no, don't tell my mom. Don't tell my mother. And he's like, no, me and your mom are old friends. This is going to break her heart. And he's like, no, don't tell her. And he starts melting down. He starts having a panic attack. And the guards have to grab him, right? Because he starts freaking out a little bit. They start getting a little violent. And he's like, no, don't tell my mother. And he starts freaking out. And the guards grab him and they take him away. And Miss Ratchet, she keeps saying something about his mom. She's like, oh, yeah, your mom, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps getting worse and worse. And they take him away and he's like having a full meltdown. And then everybody saw what happened. Miss Ratchet used his, right, the thing that he's scared of the most, used it against him to scare him or something like that. And, Jack, he thought that was unfair. He thought that was messed up, right? There's something that he was scared about. They used it against him. So the nurses and the other guys, they take him to the other room. And then Jack and Chief, he's like, come on, Chief, let's get out of here. So they go to the window because they're going to run away. They're still going to run away. And they hear the nurse scream. The nurse screams. And they go and they check, and it's Billy. And he had taken a broken piece of glass and he slit his own throat. And they're trying to save him, but he's gone. Billy's gone. And Jack, he sees it because like he knows, everybody knows Billy's not right. Right? He's suicidal, this and that. Something's wrong with him. And Miss Ratched scared him. She used what he was scared of. And this is what happened. He took his own life. And McMurphy, he knows that. And he sees me, right? He gets angry because it's Billy, just a kid. He was all right. He was just a kid. And he gets so angry, he looks at Miss Ratched. And he grabs her, right? He starts choking her. And he takes her to the floor. He starts choking her. The guards are trying to get McMurphy off of her. And he's like choking her. She's like turning red, bloodshot eyes. And they finally get him off. They get him off, and McMurphy's like, "You did that to Billy. You did that to Billy. Oh, you didn't have to do that to Billy." Right? And everybody's like crazy. Everybody's going crazy. And they take him away. They pull him away. And they pull him away, and they take him away. And then we see it's the ward, right, where everybody is, the clinic. And the guys, the crew, they're playing poker. They're just like nothing happened. And they cleaned everything up. Everything's fixed again. Billy's gone. And it's the same day. It's just later that day or the next day. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it's a week later. Everything's kind of back to normal, right? And this whole time, McMurphy, he's kind of been away with the guards or everything like that. So Chief, he's kind of just like looking around. And one of the guys, he came back from medical. And he's like, "Guys, McMurphy ran away. He did it. He left." And Chief heard that. And he's like, no, there's no way. You know, you see him thinking to himself like, "No, there's no way he would have left me here. How can he leave me here?" You know what I mean? Just kind of like what he was thinking. So he's like, "No, there's no way." And, you know, the guys are like, "Nah, there's no way he left." And then he's like, "Yeah, we heard it." You know, the guy that came back from medical, he's like, "Yeah, he just ran away. He's gone. He made it out." So Chief, he doesn't know what to think. So later that night, everybody's racked out. And you see the guards. They bring somebody in. And it's McMurphy. They bring him in. And they lay him down in his rack. And then Chief, right, he sees that. He takes out, he unstraps himself from the bed. He puts on his clothes, puts on his jacket, and he goes over to McMurphy. He's like, "I knew you wouldn't leave me. I knew you wouldn't leave without me." Right? And he says that, and Jack Nicholson, McMurphy, he doesn't say anything. Usually he has a joke, a quick-witted quote. He doesn't say anything. He's like laid up in the bed. And he's like, "McMurphy," right? He checks him. He wiggles him a little bit. "Hey, McMurphy." And he pulls him up. And when he sees him in the light, he sees that he has a surgery on the top of his head right here. And they lobotomized him. Let me look up the purpose of a lobotomy. A lobotomy was a surgical procedure once used to treat severe mental illness, such as schizophrenia and depression. The purpose of a lobotomy was to sever connections between the prefrontal cortex and other parts of the brain. This was done in the belief that disconnecting these connections would reduce the symptoms of mental illness. Lobotomy was a controversial procedure, and its use declined significance in the 1960s. So pretty much, the guards, they took a piece of his brain out of his brain, a little chunk, right? A little 4-ounce steak out the brain. So they took it out. So now he's awake, he's alive, but he can't really, he's here, but he isn't here anymore. You know what I mean? The part of Jack McMurphy, maybe the best parts of Jack McMurphy are gone. Like his personality, he isn't there anymore. Right? And Chief, he's like, "No." Chief, he's sad. Like, "No, they took you." He's like, "No." He's like, "No, they couldn't have took you. They couldn't have took you, Jack, or McMurphy." He's like, "I'm going to take you with me." That's what he said. He's like, "No, I'm going to Canada and I'm going to take you with me." Right? And he's shaking McMurphy. He's like, "McMurphy, no." He's like holding on to him because he knows he's gone. He's gone. Even though he's here, he's gone. And he hugs him. He holds him for a second. And he says, "I'm taking you with me." And he grabs a pillow and he smothers him. And he's holding him down. And you can see him fighting a little bit, right? Instinctually, McMurphy's body is fighting for air. And he smothers him. And he's holding the pillow. And I think he's crying. Right? He's holding down the pillow. McMurphy, he's fighting for air, but he's not really McMurphy anymore, So he's fighting for air, and he's holding him down, and I think he's crying. He's sad. This is his buddy. This is his only friend he's had in years. And he's holding him down until he stops. And McMurphy is gone. He's free. He's free of this life that would have been a vegetable state, essentially. He's just a vegetable. He's sitting there. And Chief, he's crying. He's sad. And he's like, in a way, he's like, I'm taking you with me. So he goes to the bathroom, the rain room, the shower room, and he picks up this giant, like, faucet, right? This giant thing that holds the water. And he picks it up and he carries it over to the window. And he throws it, because it's a giant iron gate on the window. And he throws it through the window. And it breaks. Everything shatters. And he jumps. And he runs out. And he runs out into the wilderness. And the camera pans out. And that was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This guy, McMurphy, Wildcat, yeah, he has a few problems, right? But he was trying to show these guys a good time while he could. And they ended up taking a piece of his brain, that little nugget, that nugget in the front. That front nugget. Let me know what you guys think. Have you ever watched this movie before? Have you watched this movie before? What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know what movie I should do next. Like and share. Like, share, download, I guess. Like, share. Like it and share it. Listen to it. Listen to it if you like it. If you like the stories, let me know. If you don't like them, let me know. I'll try to be better, all right? I'll try to do better, okay, guys? I'm a movie guy, yeah. I'm a movie guy for movie people. I'll see you next time.